Hello and welcome to our webinar. I'm Jason Abbott, Director of Sales for Ajax. We are pleased to have our application technology partner, VentureForth, here to discuss intelligent asset maintenance in hazardous environments. Along with the discussion and Q&A, VentureForth will do a quick demo of their Oracle Cloud mobile app that runs on the Ajax 10 intrinsically safe tablet, providing a safe way for technicians to work in a highly restricted areas, such as oil and gas, chemical, pharma, and other potentially combustible environments. As time allows, we'll take questions from the audience. Please enter your questions in the webinar control panel questions box on the side of your screen. If we don't get to them, we'll contact you after the webinar. With that, I'd like to introduce Charles Farnell, VentureForth's CEO. Charles, over to you.
Thanks a lot, Jason. And thank you to everybody for making time today. Good morning. I can see we've got participants from all over the world here, so good afternoon and good evening to you guys as well. We'll give you a little bit of insight into VentureForth via this infographic. VentureForth is a cloud software company headquartered out of Atlanta, Georgia in the United States. And we focus on providing solutions for asset-intensive businesses. But we have a laser focus really on asset lifecycle management, enterprise asset management, the supply chain, and field service. So why cloud, and can you really do it in hazardous environments? So let's explore some of the reasons that organizations are moving to cloud-based solutions and are using VentureForth software and, of course, the Ajax hardware in hazardous environments. Simply put, it's just easier for organizations to provision, deploy, and manage solutions via the cloud. Cloud-based solutions scale much better, both up and down. We can deal with spikes in business, but you can also handle downturns when we possibly need to decrease usage and subscriptions. At VentureForth, we do use the Oracle public cloud, which of course offers a best-in-class security assurance. But whether you're using Oracle, Google, Amazon, Microsoft, or even another cloud vendor, we can make sure that all the data and traffic is encrypted and secure, whether it's in transit or it's at rest on the Ajax Windows tablet. With a cloud deployment, you get rid of a lot of the costs associated with an on-premises installation. Upfront licensing is really replaced with cost-efficient subscriptions. So you can do a pay-as-you-go model, and implementations don't need consultants on site. There's travel and expenses are greatly reduced. Customers don't need to purchase all the server, middleware, hardware, and licenses. Obviously, they're going to purchase the technician's device, but all of your CPU, storage, bandwidth, etc., that's all baked in to the subscription cost. So with cloud, we've cut deployment time from months to weeks. So onboarding of a customer is done remotely, and technicians can provision our apps via cloud.ventureforth.com or from a mobile device management platform, an MDM as they call them, such as SOTI or Mobile Iron that you may be familiar with. You'll see from the demo coming up with the intuitive interface, we've focused a lot of resources lately to bring you a consumer-grade app experience. So what does that really mean? Well, most workforces out there, you're accustomed to news, sport, and games on your devices, and you expect that really polished user interface and that level of application. With cloud, though, any viable network connectivity will allow the user to work. That could be Wi-Fi, cellular, or satellite. And I know in a lot of the environments that we see, there is limited coverage, and satellite may be your only option sometimes. So in terms of scalability, obviously we mentioned that we offer the pay-as-you-go and prepaid subscriptions. So how do we think about that? Most of us have got cell phone plans, and you can just pay for what you need. You can add capacity when needed. You can cut down on your usage in slow periods. So we really kind of adopted that same model. We maintain all of the Oracle Cloud components and scale this environment as we add customers and users. So you do not need to be concerned with managing IT assets. You can just leave all of that to us. This slide really highlights the benefits of moving to the cloud and the subscription-based licensing for both the infrastructure, and the software. So the cost savings of deploying in the cloud versus on-premises are really quite startling. What we're seeing is more customers are skipping traditional pilots and proof of concepts and just moving straight to a live rollout, but at a single plant or maybe one region of the business or a particular warehouse. And then that project is capturing the benefits, capturing the ROI, and then going back to the business leaders as justification to deploy that solution organization-wide. So why run it on mobile? Working with asset-intensive businesses, we hear three common objections: that the software is too expensive, the hardware to work in a hazardous environment is cost prohibitive, and the implementations are just too long and complex. But with the cloud-based mobile software and the Ajax hardware, we believe we can overcome these objections pretty easily. I've described this subscription model. There are low startup costs for implementation. Of course, Ajax really offers some very competitively priced hardware that works in all sorts of work locations. So we're here to show vWork today. So what is it and what does it do? Well, simply put, vWork handles the entire life cycle of work for a technician. So on the Ajax device, the tech should have access to all of the work package contents to ensure they can perform a shift full of work and, of course, increase wrench time and, the time that they actually spend maintaining the asset and fixing stuff, improving operations, ensuring compliance, and, of course, most importantly, maximizing safety. So you'll see from this screen, and obviously from the kind of the demo coming up, it's very easy to use. We use an ATM approach or a cash point approach for you guys in Europe. Everyone's used an ATM, right? You just walk up, press a few buttons, and perform a transaction, get your money, and go. No one ever trained us on that. So that's the kind of the design model that we use internally here. So our goal is that a technician can really start working immediately, get up to speed with maybe just a 15-minute quick web-based training, and they start being productive. As I mentioned, we support really any network topology, but vWork was designed with that in mind to work completely offline. So you can be out of coverage for minutes, hours, days, or even weeks. But being offline doesn't mean you lose that functionality. All of the screens work offline, and all of your business system data is actually available to you as well. Common cases that we'll discuss further going forward are completing work orders, adding work requests, taking meter readings, and adding pictures to job history. And this application is certified by Oracle. You can actually provision it also from the Oracle application store, and you'll be glad to know that it's available via the cloud marketplace. So we're going to see vWork in action, and I'm going to hand the presentation over here to Luis, who will give us a brief product tour of vWork on the Ajax tablet.
All right, thank you. My name is Luis Hueso, and I work in marketing here at VentureForth, and thank you, Jason, as well. We will do a brief product demo of vWork, and to put it in simple words, vWork contains everything that your technician needs to record their work while maintaining all of your assets. And now with the Ajax hardware, now that can be accomplished in hazardous environments. But let's jump right into the application. It's a simple layout application and it's very powerful. Let's talk about what's on this screen. As soon as you log into the application with your username and password, you come to the work order screen. And it's very simple to use. I'll go through every point on the screen here. You'll see that it has a navigation menu here. I just show that on the screen, and it gives me my username, the organization that I'm syncing to, and then I have a part here, the top three, which are the things that we're going to talk about, is the work orders, work requests, and assets. Let's come back to the work order screen. The first thing you can do is add a work order with the plus sign here. It gives you a form. You can quickly add a new work order to vWork here as well. If something needs repairs, or you see something that it's needed for a particular asset, it can be recorded. We have a filters and grouping menu item here. I'm going to select one grouping here, and I'll do by description. And you'll see that now all the work orders have been grouped. You see this gray headers over here. And you can see here that the screen has changed. It has a description grouping here right now. There's also a filter here, is my assigned work to this particular technician that I've logged in. And also I have a Google-style powerful search bar here, and I'm going to perform a search here. I'm just going to type the word flare and the first half of the word inspection. So you can see it's a Google-style search, and anything containing that particular search query, it's going to come up to the screen. Let's take a look inside of the details of the different work orders here on this list. All right, so I click here on the 60-day flare inspection, and I can see I have a work order number, a system status, a user status, and I have more details here on the asset, and a lot of fields here important for any technician performing any work on this asset. If you look at the bottom, we have a dock-style navigation pane here, and I'm going to scroll here. You'll see how it moves. I have more information here available to me as a technician. I'm going to click on operations now. All right, and I can see that I have different operations for this particular asset. I can click on materials, and I have a long list of materials, and I can add more if I need to. I see the plus here at the top if I need to add more materials. I also have an attachment screen, and this could be files, like manuals or, how to do things on a particular asset, or you can also capture photos in case an inspection is completed or an inspection is needed or something that you want to point out for someone else that may work on this particular asset. So that's very powerful. I also have resources, and we can see there's a list of resources for this particular asset, and I can also take a deeper dive into the resource instances. And if you see here, we also have the ability to charge time to this resource and resource instances. Let's go back here to our previous screen, and let's keep going here. I'm going to scroll here on the dock. I have the ability to take meter readings, and this is very powerful, to keep track of the data on any asset. We can take failure analysis, and we also have the ability to take quality plans, and this is very powerful for the assets to ensure compliance in many industries. And that's everything that we can do inside of a work order. Let's come back to our work order screen. Notice that VWork has remembered the previous search. It always keeps track of everything that we're doing. I'm going to click on the navigation menu and jump to work requests. And similar style, so the technician's already familiar with this. We have a list of items here as well. These are all work requests. We can add any work requests, or we can perform a search similarly that we did on the work order screen. I'm going to select the first one. All right, and I have more details on this particular work request. Work request number, the status, and all the work request details. We also have the ability to add attachments to this work request. So very powerful. If you see, for example, a leak on a pipe or in an engine or something of that nature, you can not only document what's needed, but also take a picture. So the next technician, for example, that will go perhaps from a different department knows exactly what to look for. So that's very powerful. Let's come back to the navigation menu. And one more screen I want to show you is the asset screen. And this is the entire list of assets available for this particular user. I'm going to perform a search here and pull up one of the assets. All right. Again, I just did a Google-style search. I typed half of the name of an asset, and it's narrowed down the entire list to one asset. Very powerful. I'm going to click on that asset, and I have all the asset details. The description, the asset group, a category, serial numbers, owning departments, lots of different things here. And I also have a dock-style navigation here at the bottom. So very similar to the first dock that we showed, but there are some differences. So I'll go through those right now. We have asset attributes here. We have the ability to take meters outside of a work order just directly into the asset in case we need to document that. We also have attachments that we can add. And here we have, a bigger list of attachments. We have a web link here. We have some images. So that's very powerful for the technicians. We also have the ability to take quality plans for this asset. We have comprehensive asset history, and this is for previous work that's been done to the particular asset. Very important for the technicians to see if something was already been repaired or how many times has been repaired. So that's very important. And we also have asset logs to log different things for the assets. So this is everything in a nutshell that your technician needs to maintain all your assets. And now with Ajax again, with the Ajax technology tablets, that can be done in hazardous environments. All right, so back to you, Jason.
Thanks for the demo, Luis. We'd like to dig in a bit more, and I'm sure the audience has questions as well. As a reminder, if you do have a question, please type it in the question box on your control panel. If we do not get to your question before time is up, we will respond to you directly via email after the webinar. So Charles, what is the most common use case for oil and gas you're seeing for V-work?
Well, Jason, really now it's the ability to perform the entire life cycle of work. As the software has evolved and as the hardware has evolved and got faster and more powerful, we've gone from just being able to do simple use cases like complete a work order to actually track that whole work order from creation through to completion. So as Luis demonstrated, there's a lot of components to performing work. You know, we generally need material, we need instructions, we need location information, and it's nice to always be able to see the historical information on an asset. So that's really the most common use cases are literally the performing of planned work, our PM work, and the ability to capture reactive work and emergency work orders out in the field, all while disconnected and away from some kind of network.
To help find critical assets or be able to locate workers in hazardous areas, geolocation can be helpful. Does V-work have geolocation capabilities?
It does, and again, this is something that's really evolved, recently in the last 18 months or so. So the geo piece kind of comes in a number of areas. Obviously, knowing where the asset is important. If the asset's been cataloged, we can confirm on the device that the technician is working with the right asset. So that's very important from a safety standpoint, because a lot of asset-intensive businesses, pipeline companies, for example, will have thousands and thousands of the exact same valve. So, knowing where that asset is important. It's also nice to be able to track the technician and make sure that they're performing the work at the correct spot, and get from an audit perspective. So geolocation really is helpful and has been built into V-work.
I've heard the term disconnected mobile mentioned. Can you tell us about that and how it might be applied in oil and gas?
Yeah, absolutely. During the slide deck, we use that term disconnected or offline, and a lot of our oil and gas customers simply don't have network availability at all of their locations. So that could be a pipeline in East Texas, but it could also be a platform in the Gulf of Mexico or a well pad in Oklahoma. And it may be that there is no cellular, there is no Wi-Fi, or that the method of connectivity is very expensive and at a premium, something like a satellite out on a ship. So the ability to perform all of your work disconnected and still get through a shift, still get through the day is really what disconnected mobile is all about.
Do technicians have to carry all the documentation on the tablet, or can they pick and choose which information they want to download?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it speaks to the evolution of the hardware as well. With more storage and faster processors and more memory on the Ajax device now, we can actually bring down more information more quickly. But what we've learned over time is that the technician really needs the ability to pick and choose. We don't need all of the engineering drawings related to the asset, so why bring those down and why increase the payload to the device, right? So it is a pick and choose model, but it can also be overridden by corporate that says, we have to push out these hazmat details. We have to push out these MSDS sheets. There's a new safety bulletin that's going out to the pipeline techs or the mechanics. Let's get that out there on this batch of work orders today. So all of that capability is built into V-work.
Can you operate V-work in online real-time mode, or is it always offline and then you manually sync?
Yeah, great question. So you can. It's kind of a hybrid approach. It's designed really to be an offline model, but we've recognized that there are areas that you need to be kind of real-time, or at least have the ability to go and request things. So a couple of examples of that are documents, as I just mentioned. You might be out at a work location where there's decent coverage and you're performing a set of tasks, and you would like that engineering drawing, or you would like the latest training video on this particular part. So we've now added that where you can manually request and go real time and go pull down that document. The other use case we see on the inventory side is maybe in a warehouse for receiving, where I'm receiving against a known list of purchase orders, but a truck rolls up with an unexpected delivery that wasn't scheduled for me to do today. So I can go online real time and download that purchase order and all the lines and all the shipping information and make sure that I can transact in the warehouse.
When you take a photo while using VWork, do you need to exit the app to upload the photo? And can you mark up a photo while inside the app?
So you can take a photo. Obviously, you need that capability on the device. The Ajax devices have the cameras, so you can take a photo. You don't need to exit the app. We used to, but that's a recent enhancement to the product that it's essentially built into that screen that Luis showed you. And you can mark up a photo, so you can redline it, and you use native tools on the Microsoft platform, on the Ajax platform, to do that. And then we keep track of revisions and then push them up to the ERP so that they're cataloged inside of the ERP against the asset and against the work order.
A lot of technicians find Barcode useful. Does VWork have Barcode enabled?
It does. Again, obviously, we need that capability on the device, whether it's a integrated laser scanner with a 1D and 2D capability, or it's simply a camera that's on board. We can recognize any barcode, any symbology. It makes sense to barcode enable certain fields, obviously work order number, employee number, asset number, stock item number, bin locations, etc. All of those are natively turned on inside the app, but the capability exists to really barcode anything and to read anything as well.
This opens up a lot of opportunity with Oracle for our Ajax partners. And speaking directly to those Ajax partners, if you have clients already on or working on Oracle, this application can add immediate value with mobile asset intelligence for those hazardous areas. Now, I wanted to get to a few questions from our audience. Charles, there's a question coming when you mentioned inventory. Are there mobile applications that work on Ajax devices in the warehouse and storerooms as well?
Yes, there are. So VWork is part of a suite of applications for asset-intensive businesses. The suite name is vMobile. Obviously, we've seen VWork today. But an example of an inventory application is vStores. And really that performs all of the basic functions of a storeroom technician. Item lookup, cycle counts, inventory transfers, pick, pack, put away, purchase order receiving, etc.
Another question. Can you summarize a particular benefit from a recent customer implementation?
Yeah, that's a great question. So we've got a number of projects that have recently gone live, and we were chatting with a customer just last week, and her name was Tamara. She's a maintenance supervisor at Mount Air, and she said, I'll just quote it back, hey, we had no issues with production whatsoever. The Siler City location reported 99% of work was done with the tablets last week, and this has made a huge difference in their backlog. Thank you very much. So that's kind of direct from the source, and really what we're looking to see happen is that just quick hit productivity gain right there with the techs, and just make their life easier and enable them to get through more work more quickly.
We have an extra moment or two. We'll take one more question. It was more specific with regard to sorting the work order. And they're asking if there's a way to sort the work order history on an asset in an ascending or descending manner.
Yeah, so this is an area that's kind of evolved and continues to evolve, I would say. Certain assets are inspected, once a minute. Certain assets are inspected, via some kind of IoT device, and some assets are worked on or inspected, once a year. So obviously that algorithm about how much work order history data or asset history data we bring down is very important to us, and we have to cut it off at some point. But generally it's in kind of chronological descending order. The most recent work first is shown. We've added a Google style search to the history because a common question was what material vendor was used on this? Was this an OEM part or it was an aftermarket product that was added? Or can I search for the technician's name and find that technician because I'm struggling with the job, and I can get that guy's phone number out of VWork and give that guy a call and ask him or her kind of what happened on that particular job. So yeah, that you can search it and you can sort it.
Well, many thanks to both you and Luis. Thank you for your time. Thanks for the audience's time. That is all the time we have for today. If we did not answer your question here, we will respond to you by email. Also, be sure to fill out the follow-up survey that you will receive right after this broadcast. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to having you back again for our next Ajax webinar. Goodbye.